I met this actor a couple of years ago, and this is back when I was kind of, doing a lot of things in health and coaching a couple people in health. And I was writing a lot of blog articles about health. And I had this actor guy. I'm not gonna say his name. Well, his name is Colby, but I had this guy who had like an acting career, right? Um, he hit me up and he started asking me, "Hey, we should speak on the phone every week," and I agreed to it, right? And eventually, I started really liking the guy. I was like, you know what, man, you're super cool. And I was trying to figure out what about this guy I like so much. And I started realizing this guy did not have a negative bone in his body. So what I mean by that is he was always focused on being positive. I was talking to this guy about his acting career, and he was kind of telling me, yeah, I don't really do acting anymore. I did it as a kid. I had some success. I don't do it anymore. And I was asking him, why don't you keep doing it, man? I mean, why don't you keep on going on your massive level of success? And I said, that's what I would do in that situation. And I was asking him, what do you do all day? And he was just like, I just drive to the beach and with my friends, and I just hang out at the beach all day. And I was like, you know what? I didn't really get it at the time. And I was like, I don't really understand. Because I like the beach as well. But the thought of someone driving to the beach every day and just spending all their time there, I wasn't sure what to think about it. And I kept trying to tell the guy, I was like, dude, I feel like you should go back into acting, man. Because he already had an acting career. He was already in like a decent couple of things. And I said, your career is still there. You can still make a massive success out of yourself. I was asking the guy, I'm like, why don't you just do it? That's what I would do. If I had an acting career as a kid, I would just continue it and continue pushing. I mean, you did all that work, right? And he was like, I don't really want to do that. I just want to drive to the beach every day, and I just want to hang out at the beach every day. And you know what? I was thinking to myself, you know what? I just left it alone. And I said, you know what? I'm going to keep talking to this guy. And I still really like this guy. And it was because he had an unbreakable positive mindset, right? I would talk to this guy about my business, and I would say, hey, my business, the growth isn't as fast as I want it to be. And he said, hey, man, you know what? It's growing, though. At least it's growing on a daily basis. You know what I mean? And things are going well. I would talk to this guy about women in my life, and he said, hey, man, you're still young. You're still young. You still got a couple years ahead of you. You're still going to mature, and your girl's going to get better over time. And I realized every time I spoke to this guy about a situation, he would find the silver lining. He would find a way to framework it in a positive manner. And I said, you know what? Even though I had my thoughts about this guy, the guy was such a positive guy. He has such a positive mindset. And I said, because of this guy's personality, I just really like the dude. The fact that he frames everything in a positive manner. Just for that mere fact of him framing everything in a positive manner, I said, you know what? You're a really cool guy, man. I'm not going to lie. I really like that. And I took a lesson from that. In which case, I never complained about anything in my life. And I flip everything into a positive framework. I always put everything into a positive frame of mind. And you're going to realize once you start to do that, people are just going to start to like you more, right? People are going to be more comfortable being around you. People are going to say, you know what? This guy has a really good vibe. And it's because you're going to be such in a positive frame of mind, an unbreakable positive frame of mind. When you have an unbreakable positive mindset, nothing can break it. Nothing can switch you into the negative because it's so unbreakable into the positive. So you're going to realize that once you have this kind of mindset, a lot of good things are going to start to happen to you because you're going to choose to see it. You're going to choose to see the positive opportunities. You're going to choose to be happy. And that's the one thing that I learned from this guy. I was wondering why he just drove to the beach every day and he just stayed at the beach every day with his friends. I didn't understand it at the time. And then I realized the guy chose to be happy, where he kind of made his money, he made his success. And the guy was telling me I used to be, he used to be on antidepressants, all this other stuff. And he's like, you know what? He's just choosing to be happy now. He's just choosing to go to the beach every day and he chooses to be happy, right? You always have the choice where you wake up every day and you say, you know what? I'm going to choose to be happy. I'm going to choose to have a positive mindset. I'm going to choose to view everything as a good thing, regardless of what it is, right? And you're going to realize more positive things are going to happen to you as a result. People are going to start to like you more. People are going to want to start being around you more. And it's going to be because you have an unbreakable, positive mindset. And you keep moving forward no matter what you're going through. So it's something to keep in mind. Some guys in this world think it's cool to be evil. They think it's cool to be the villain. They think it's cool to be negative. Try to think in your life, which people in my life did I really like the most? Which people in my life did I really like to be surrounded by? Which people in my life do I wish stayed in my life long term? I can almost guarantee you, every person you think about that, that you wanted to stay in your life had a positive mindset, had a positive frame of mind, was vibrating on a high frequency. I'm thinking about all the guys in my life that were evil. I'm thinking about all the guys in my life that had a negative mindset, that were always complaining about stuff. And I was like, you know what? I don't care how cool this is. I don't care how cool I thought this guy was before. The fact that this guy is negative, or the fact that this guy thinks it's cool to be evil, or think it's cool to be negative, the fact that he actually thinks that makes me dislike the guy. I don't really care about any of his other personality traits. I just start to dislike when people are vibrating on that frequency. So it's something to keep in mind, right? Because there's a lot of guys in this world that are like that think it's cool to be evil, that think it's cool to be negative all the time, that think it's cool to be down on themselves. It's not cool. And you don't need to take my word for it. Just think of the 5 or 10 people you like the most in your life, that you always liked being around and that you always like surrounding yourself with. I can almost guarantee you the 5 or 10 most people you really felt that strongly about, they were always on a positive mindset. And when you're on a positive mindset and you're surrounded by people who are positive, they make you feel better about yourself. And that was what I really liked about this guy. I don't talk to them anymore, but I realized every time I spoke to this guy, I started feeling better about myself. I started feeling better about my situation. If you strive to have that effect on people, you're really going to be in a good spot. You should strive to have an effect where when people speak to you, they feel better about themselves after that conversation. They feel more optimistic. And that comes from having a positive mindset. That comes from checking yourself. When I was speaking to this guy on the phone, this guy was checking me. Every time I complained about something, every time I spoke about something remotely negative, he checked me and he said, hold on, we ain't going to speak about negativity in this conversation. We're going to find the positive in it and we're going to focus on the positive. He checked me on that. So it's really helpful if you have people in your life that check you on the negativity. But people can't do it for you all the time. And people can't read your mind all the time. People can't hear your thoughts all the time. Only you can do that. So once you realize that you're the only one who has the power to check your thoughts into the positive framework, into the positive frame of mind, to correct yourself all the time, if you're ever having a negative thought or emotion, and shift it immediately into the positive, shift it into the light, shift it into that, how is this going to benefit my life? I'm going to find the silver lining. And once you do that, you'll find the will to make it. Wow, Ed,
pretty cool speech, bro.